Yeah, so strategic partnerships, otherwise known as new business sales, getting in front of people. You've been, I will say, doing this for 8 years. Is that right?
Just over 8 years.
Just over 8 years, Matt. Okay. So I don't know. Give us the background and what you used to do versus what's going on now, and maybe a little on what's changed or what's evolved, and from your side.
I guess from the maturity of the company, when you think about it, we started. It's probably night and day when it was my first job was call. And I remember it was just, you had your list of people and we're just hoping they'd pick up. Maybe if I can say, would you call it like the old school way of doing sales?
Yeah. So smile and dial kind of.
Smile and dial, and a lot of dials. One day, 0 for 63. I remember going home and telling Andrea, I just called 63 people and I got 0 people on the phone.
Wow.
But the next day we had 2 big demos and a couple of our great clients today. So
that was 8 years ago-ish, or?
8, yeah.
All right, so how has that changed? I mean, I know the answer, but from your perspective, versus quantity versus quality in a sense. And
well, it's definitely quality now, as I think you and I can both attest to, is focused on that, and then where they're coming from. Like, it was fascinating as you and I were reviewing that last week. It was, maybe it's about 10%, would you say, or direct people that were outbound, aggressively going. We know we want them and love to have them as partners, but the amount of positive referrals we're getting from the CVBs, our event owner partners was number 1, which is a credit to obviously the accounts team and procurement, all the operations team and development team. But that's where it's just, back to my comment, night and day different, is we now have great people wanting to work with us and we're just figuring out the best way to work with them. And I think that's where we're at now.
What about the types of conversations or questions, or, give us a little bit of commentary, I guess, on how that's evolved.
Yeah, a lot of time it did feel like a sales job. You had to convince people to change their habits, behaviors way more. Now I think why strategic partnerships is such a good fit for us is it's almost learning as much about them as that they have to learn about us. And how do we mold that to be a good fit for everyone? How do we get our clients more successful, us more successful? So I think that's where I see it now more is, would you agree that that's where answering the question there is like, it is more thinking of how we can best suit these new partnerships.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're early in, the market, so to speak, and you're asking a lot of questions, you're testing the waters, you're trying to see what people are interested in. So sometimes you're, I'm gonna say forcing it, but you're trying a lot more than maybe when the fit is more of a match. So, I would see it that way, is that it's the needs, the questions, here's the scenarios, or here's what the problem I'm trying to face, proactively reaching out to us to try to find a solution, knowing they may have read something or talked to somebody, aligning with that match versus trying to force it in a sense too quickly is definitely, you've hit the nail on the head when those kinds of things come into your inbox, and
you got it.
Also makes our job much easier too.
Much easier. Yeah.
Most of the time, someone else in the conversation, from a competitive perspective, they're either working with somebody or they're working with the team. The team may be growing. There's always a dynamic of other options. When I look at it, I kind of think of, competition is always important because it keeps you focused on, the goal at hand and what it is you're trying to figure out. But sometimes too, you really got to carve your own path. And I think that's a lot of where we're at now, is less, worrying about competition in the traditional sense, and really just trying to be focused on what it is that our product can do and how we can help as a team. So I don't know, I'm kind of curious your thoughts. Obviously that's changed over the last while too, but what are the first things that kind of come to your mind as we're trying to differentiate ourselves and the product and what our team does?
Yeah, I would, to that point, I feel like we've grown up so much as a company, matured, and we have such great partners now and great people we're talking to about the future that's who is, as long as we continue to keep our sights with them, I feel like we'll just continue to hopefully be as big of a leader in this industry as possible, that we don't maybe let outside noise get too important to us, that we have such great, again, back to the word partners, even on the hotel side, that can keep pushing us in the right direction. I always go back, I know we have a great product, but then maybe a few years, I'm going to say many years ago, did we not understand how big it is to have that hospitality side of it, the customer service. So now it's very hard for someone to say we don't do either, in my opinion, because we're so laser focused on great product, great customer service.
Yeah, without it being a distraction where you're trying to, chase what someone else is selling or saying, or, versus being confident in, what we know we can do and how we can help them. And, kind of guiding that conversation is just as much about confidence, but also knowing you have the team to back it up, right? Which
Very
maybe
true.
always wasn't the case in the kind of early days as you're trying to figure things out, stumble a bit, try new things. Or
For sure. And then even as we've always chat, like the domain knowledge that you need to have on the product or how this industry works. You and I are still learning things every day on the hotel side.
Yeah.
And fortunately we have people that have 15 years of experience in there, because you can't understand this whole industry. So now have that maturity of the staff, people wanting to grow and learn, I think is a great compliment for us.
Yeah, agreed. What do you think trends like?
I always go back to like, maybe it's too much in the past, but like 2015, and we're sitting on the floor and no one's like, tech, I don't need that. I got my Bristol boards and paper and pen and I'm set. And like, what am I doing here? Like, and now we go and people are coming to us for advice or questions.
Yeah. Why do you think that is the case? The customer hasn't changed, the sport hasn't changed necessarily, but what is it about their day-to-day that you think has evolved or changed?
I find that it's fair. Like we've always been the technology made sense. We need this in the industry, but the industry was behind on it, if I can say that. And now there's the demand for efficiencies, making it more of businesses out there. How do we support these non-for-profits that, don't have a lot of time? They're running around with their kids, they're busy with work, and can we create the scheduling scoring that much easier for them? Right. So I just feel like maybe technology's catching up a bit here, and people are wanting to get onto there's a demand from the customer even that I love a Bristol board, but I want to find my hotel reservation and my schedule all in one spot. Right. Because people are busy.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it too is probably the fact that there's, a shift in the way things used to be done. I don't know if that's age necessarily, or if it's, maybe after 2020, 21, people sort of turned the lights on, got business back up and running, and now they're looking at efficiencies and trying to really think about the next 10 years. And, I think we hear a lot of like, I can't run it the same way, or they have less team members, trying to run more events, like whatever their strategies are different, but there's something that's, pushing them to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, and probably how we've even maybe adopted too, right? You don't have to go change absolutely everything today. Like we're a team on this. Let's build it away. It's maybe take this component on and make it more efficient. And we're just chipping away with the partners on it that I guess we get them in the right direction, but it might be overwhelming to do everything at once too, right?
Do you see the cities kind of evolving as well in terms of what they need or their asks or expectations, taking on more emphasis on managing more events, or just the accountability to the data? Or I'm guessing you see that too, or?
I think so. I think there's been some great chats even more recently of some of the leaders out there in the city's world of trying to really understand their events. How do they provide more value to the events coming in? There's some really sharp, enthusiastic people out there that I feel like we're starting to really mesh with well and after the same values of better experiences, better reporting. So yeah, I don't know how fast that'll all change, but there's definitely, in my opinion, some leaders out there pushing that way.
Yeah, okay, good. So what about, and obviously working directly with rights holders, tournament operators now, shifting gears as well to offer something in a solution with EventConnect to other housing companies, or even to some of our now, large partners that have significant, growth within their team, specifically, really in-house housing and managing that, looking for alternative tech. What do you see with those kinds of conversations, and how has that changed, I guess?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed that part this year, Eric. We're talking to such like-minded people, even more so now, that deal with the same day-to-day opportunities, challenges. They speak the industry so well, and you just have so much in common with them. I've found that you really can hit it off, and when they probably have, in my opinion, good operations going on their side, being able to hopefully help them, and I've seen us help them scale, create those efficiencies. It's very, I wish all our staff could probably hear it more of how I think we're helping their day-to-day lives with their work here through our product, and then making their customers even happy. So
yeah, it's a good point. I mean, their need, similar to the rights holders and who's running events and looking, as we mentioned earlier, about efficiencies, that is being forced upon then other housing companies. And to your point, like, we face the same things every day, and it's that likely like-minded conversations and problem solving, or things that we've been dealing with the last few years. But when you come together, there's even maybe more commonality when it comes to that than some partners from day one, but different types of relationships. But yeah, I would definitely see that.
Yeah, for sure.